There's something magical about chasing the perfect light. Every landscape photographer surely knows that feeling, heading out before sunrise, hoping that today might be the day everything falls into place. It's the uncertainty, the patience, and those fleeting moments of light that keep us coming back. In this landscape photography vlog, I'm looking at what really makes a great photo and how much of it comes down to timing and a little bit of luck. I mean, you've got to get the location right, haven't you? I've been to some lovely areas, some lovely spots in the past and grabbed some really nice photos in the process. I've also been to some very average ones. And I mean, if you go out to a location and it's not a very good one, as hard as you try, you're not going to find anything, are you? Then, even when you've found the right location, you've got to think about the composition, you've got to find the subject. And even then, I've been out to some lovely locations, I've found some really interesting subjects. However, even when I've looked back at the shot on Lightroom, it's still missing something. That image of the lone tree, I'm really pleased with it, but at the same time I was a little bit slow. The sun was coming up and the tree was bathed in light. By the time I found the right composition, the sun had risen up behind the clouds and the tree was no longer bathed in light. And it's that third element, light, that can transform your image. I've been out at times, and if you get the right sort of light, you can capture some really beautiful moments. Now, I want to point out that when I talk about light, I'm not talking about those sunny days, blue skies, not a cloud in the sky. The sun, it floods the landscape. If you're shooting towards the sun, if I find a composition I like and I'm having to face the sun, you've got to worry about getting the exposure just right, else the image can look rubbish when you're editing back in post. No, the sort of light that I'm talking about, the sort of light that I love is when it's a cloudy day, a little bit like today, and you get the sun, you get the light just breaking through the clouds. You get that lovely mixture, don't you, of light and shadow on the landscape. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you have to get some beautiful light in your images. I've been out on cloudy days and I've got some really moody atmospheric shots as a result. Take my trip up to the Lake District, for example, and the cloud inversion that I almost ended up with. Climbed Lafrig Fell, was enveloped in the fog, sent the drone up, got above the fog, and of course it just showed off this beautiful cloud inversion with the fog almost as this silver blanket beneath some of the mountain tops. Really lovely it was. I don't know if it's just me and it's in my head, but I find that when I leave my home county, whenever I go outside of Kent, the light just seems to hit differently. When I've gone up to the peaks, the lakes, or even into neighbouring Surrey, the light, it just seems to hit the landscape almost differently, almost better than what I get here at home. Whether it's the hills, whether it's just the time of the day, it's probably is. It's just the time of the day that I'm going out, and I've just got lucky on that particular occasion. Because the most of the time when I go out in Kent, I either get too much sunlight, like what I find I'm getting today a little bit, or I find myself on a foggy hillside where the sun just can't penetrate through the fog at all. This is what I mean. This is when the sun really hits the landscape, and it's just too strong a little bit, unfortunately. I am reminded though of a trip out locally with the camera back in the summer. On that day I was testing out the EF 24 to 105mm, the only lens I decided to take with me that day. Out of nowhere I was walking along a ridge and the distant hills were just lit up perfectly, lovely drops of light just hitting the hills in various places. So it does happen. I've just got to be a little bit more patient, and the other big one, I've just got to persist with it. I think the best time to get out as a landscape photographer and enjoy some beautiful light is, of course, during golden hour. Of course, I think an argument, though, can be made that the golden hour light, that lovely colour, is an excuse in some ways to make your shot work. You're having to rely on that colour to improve your shot, because you could still be standing in a spot where the composition as a whole, it doesn't work, and all you're left with is that beautiful colour in the sky. As per normal, I've come out here nice and early today. I was hoping for some sunrise lights, but as suspected, it's a little bit too cloudy for me to get that. I'm shooting towards Eynsford Viaduct, so hopefully this shot will work without that lovely golden hour colour. I'm a little bit worried though. I've got a lot of negative space with the field in the foreground, so I might have to crop that out in post. We'll have to see how that turns out. I've got the camera set up on the tripod so I can go for the best settings possible. ISO 100 f8 gives me a shutter of around 1 second. Now though, it's just about waiting for the right moment, the right amount of light. Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining today. I think we as landscape photographers, we're always trying to chase the perfect light, the perfect moment, aren't we? I think today it's just my odd sense of humour coming to the fore. I think even if we could control what the conditions were like, always getting the sort of light, the sort of mood that we're always after, get pretty boring quite quickly, don't you think?